Welcome to on Happy to have you here for another episode of the Primetime Program. All right, we are rocking on this Monday evening. We got Bert, we got you guys for the next 30 to 45 minutes, and we got some Titans free agent acquisitions to potentially consider. OTAs taking place, players reporting to the facility, vets and rookies, and I have a pretty interesting interview that it sounds like I'm going to be able to conduct, but looking forward to getting into a couple of different topics tonight. ESPN projects the Titans to land the best available free agent in the post-draft free agent process, and we're going to walk through a couple of different landing spots for the top free agents that ESPN did project. Matt Bowen, always a great resource for football insights and information and what the Titans need at this particular point. Well, it just so happens that there's a handful of players available at that very position. We are happy to have you guys a part of the program. Thank you, as always, for spending your time here with us, whether you're hanging out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. It's a great evening when you guys participate with us in the Primetime Program. Need you all to share this broadcast around before we can get started so we can tell as many people as humanly possible about the pursuit of free agents for the Titans as they continue to add pieces and parts. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet it in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That is in the bottom left. And if you're on YouTube and on Twitch, please subscribe to the channel. Throw a like on the video if you're hanging out on YouTube tonight, and we would be grateful for you. Like Stephen King. Who else is on YouTube? I see Philip B. French, Steve Jones. If you're hanging out on Facebook, like Tiffany Cockrell, Karen O'Keefe. I see Carlos Yates. Is that how I pronounce it, Carlos? Either way, like the video and share this show. Let's go ahead and get into it. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studio. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the great folks at Two Rivers Ford. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service is what they offer. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, online at tworiversford.com. Zen Sports, download the app, plug in the promo code ATOZTN, and get up to $100 on your no danger first wager in the Zen Sports app, and TrueMav Fitness, where you can go for the best workout in Middle Tennessee. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident at TrueMavFitness.com. Best available free agents and the teams that they make the most sense with. We're through the bulk of the free agency process. Teams have already reloaded with not just the first and second free agent waves, but you also have trade acquisitions like L'Jarius Sneed. You've had the draft take place and the undrafted rookie free agency process. So teams have the vast majority of their rosters filled out. But now we're into the OTAs, we're into workouts, players on football fields, taking place in things that kind of look like football, not quite full-on football yet, because, of course, no pads. But mandatory minicamps right around the corner, and then training camp will be here, in 2 months from now? Less than 2 months from now? No, about 2 months from now, training camp will be officially underway. But there's a ton of players that are still available on the unsigned free agent market that are looking for a roster, either because they're chasing a contract at the later stages of their career, they're looking for prove-it deals so they can cash in on a more long-term lucrative contract if they pay that off, or they're out here ring chasing at the end of their careers, a little bit of mercenary action for guys who have played a considerable amount of time in the league, are looking at a couple of different positions, like, for example, edge rusher, and saying, I can give this team 15 to 20 snaps a game as a situational pass rusher. Let me go sign with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Houston Texans, a team that's close to winning a Super Bowl. So there's a piece up at ESPN.com, and they go through 14 players, one of them a former Titans free agent, and the best landing spots for each of them. There's also a big-name receiver who requested a trade in T. Higgins, that the hypothetical is posed for T. Higgins to fill a remaining team need or add depth. But Matt Bowen does a good job working his way through this. Now, there's a couple of players. Here's the problem. The Houston Texans are mentioned several times on this list because they have a lot of money still to spend. Titans have about $25 million in cap space, but the problem with where the Texans are at is that quarterback costs them nothing, kind of like your quarterback, with Mason Rudolph being the most expensive quarterback on the Titans roster. And for the Texans, they still can add top flight corners, offensive line depth. Titans have the ability to have some financial flexibility too. So the question that I would ask you is this: on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, wherever you are spending your evening here with us, what's the biggest Titans roster need heading into OTAs? It's your Two Rivers Ford take. As always, it's presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service is what they offer you. Nobody is going to get you a car buying experience that is as fast, as easy, or as fun as Two Rivers Ford does. They have been operating here in Middle Tennessee for over 40 years because they are the best. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com. Donald says that the Titans need to add edge like his Ford. How about that? If you ever need that Ford Edge service, you can take it to Two Rivers, Donald. Or they have the mobile service department that will bring their service vehicles and their oil change crew and all the different things that you need as a part of the mobile service right to you. It's a great setup. Stephen King says right tackle is the biggest position of need on the roster. Travis Ford, safety. Jonathan Caverly agrees with the right tackle position. For Tiffany, it's safety. Van stacks them, edge rusher, and then a safety. Tom George, not confident enough with the pieces that you've added, because you have added several pieces on the offensive line, but still wants them to continue to bring in viable options, which, by the way, is fair. If you're a Titans fan, you probably have PTSD for how shitty the offensive line group has been in the last couple of years. But the more that I look around at this, the more that I see one big glaring hole, and that big glaring hole is at the safety position. Now, that's what Matt Bowen of ESPN has the Titans projected to fill in the post-draft free agency. Unsurprisingly, he goes with Justin Simmons, who is not just the top safety available, but is arguably the top free agent available. Here's what Bowen writes: would be an easy fit under new Titans defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. Simmons is a high-level communicator in the secondary with deep range and great ball skills. He has at least 3 interceptions in 6 straight seasons and is a productive starter who is strong in run support. So that would be a pretty ideal setup for the Titans to have 2 guys in Simmons and Amani Hooker who are pretty scheme versatile, who are pretty multiple in what they provide as far as their skill sets, who both have range, who both can play center field, essentially. Simmons getting up there in age, so you don't necessarily want to have him in one-on-one coverage situations, but it is a really improved secondary that he would have in front of him with the cornerback group. Justin Simmons makes a ton of sense to put behind L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie and Roger McCreary to fill that safety void. Now, Rand Carthon talked about this. I believe this was the pre-draft press conference, but still, given that they didn't draft a safety, I mean, they did draft a safety, a college safety at Miami. In Justin, is it Justin Williams? I'm blanking on the kid's name from Miami, but still, they did draft the converted James Williams. Thank you, Robert. James Williams from Miami, who was a safety, but now will play linebacker. This was Rand Carthon at the pre-draft press conference.
It's the amount of safeties that are on the street right now. It's a plethora of guys that have played a ton of ball in the league. We visited some guys, and we're going to continue to do our due diligence, on those guys and see where the market brings us. But right now, like I said, we start draft meetings next week, and so that'll be what is it? We're April 2nd, so the draft is 24 days away, and so I think that takes precedent right now. To fine tune that plan and bring everybody together on that. So really looking forward to that part of it. But there are a lot of good players still on the street that can help us.
Do you think the market can shift at safety pre-draft, or do you think something like that likely settled down?
Well, I think just the way the league goes, I mean, everyone is going to be, excited about the new shiny toys that is the draft class, and once we get through the draft and we see where teams have, made their needs, because there are other teams that need safeties. I think it could take the safety market either way, depending on who's available, at that time, and we've been well positioned and well thought out in our plan of still being able to attack, post draft, kind of like we did with DeAndre last year, to be in position to sign a player if we need to.
So that's Rand Carthon speaking, and that's a pre-draft press conference. I think that's after L'Jarius Sneed spoke to us. He was kind of updating us on free agency at that point. A to Z Sports Prime Time is presented by True Math Fitness in the Gulch. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. True Math is the best. You see the kind of workouts that they can provide to you. Their facility is awesome. You'll love it. The experience at True Math Fitness, whether it's group fitness classes, personal training, or just working out in their open gym. True Math is the best place for you, especially because your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident at TrueMathFitness.com. So that's Rand Carthon talking about the safety market and how they were kind of monitoring it at the time. Now, obviously, we're in the post-draft free agency process, and the safety market has still been pretty slow, I would say. I was scrolling through Spot Track on the free agents earlier today, just out of curiosity, and it's been pretty I don't want to say lackadaisical. That seems like not the right word, but it's been just kind of slow to bear itself out with the safety position. With the post-draft free agency, it's kind of slowed down. You saw a couple of players get picked up, wide receivers, tackles, the Eagles adding offensive line depth. But I was looking at the safeties and the status of available safeties right now. Justin Simmons is obviously the name that pops up, but there's a ton of players that would help you right away. Jamal Adams is not what you're looking for here, but Jamal Adams is only 28 years old, which is kind of crazy. Simmons is going to be 31 by the time this football season is over. Eddie Jackson is the same age, the former Bears safety. Quandre Diggs is a little longer in the tooth than either of them, but is still a fairly productive player. I haven't seen Micah Hyde, who is the elder statesman. Kareem Jackson, who is still apparently playing football at some level, is out there on the free agent market. He's 36 years old. So, you're looking at guys who are 29 or 30, basically, or upwards of 30. And Simmons is the best of them, but he's definitely on the downside of his career. They're citing past statistics for him, which is fine. Absolutely. He has been a highly productive player and can still make sense for a lot of teams, including Tennessee. They don't provide a projected market value for Justin Simmons on SpotTrack.com, because that was the thing that I was kind of curious about. And ironically enough, I noticed that the agent for Justin Simmons is also the agent for Derrick Henry. So it's not a negotiation or a person that they would be entering into negotiations with that the Titans are unfamiliar with. Todd France, who is at Athletes First, represents Justin Simmons and is also the agent of Derrick Henry and several other star NFL players. Van Jeffries says, actually, that's not been reported or confirmed by anybody reliable. So I'm not going to read that comment because it appears to be fake news. So I would vet your sources, Van, before coming to the chat with any kind of news that you consider to be breaking, because that is inaccurate. Parker, you're not Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams retiring would be a huge deal. Devontae Parker retiring is less of a big deal. Where is Devontae Parker right now? He was most recently a Patriot, and now I believe he's in Philadelphia, or was in Philadelphia. Yeah, Devontae Adams retiring. Not true. Devontae Parker retiring. That is something that has been reported on. All right, so that's very good. We'll keep it moving here on the Primetime program. So the safety market and where things are at right now. As you look at the Titans' need, they don't really have anything on the roster that I think would be a viable starting safety, but you have OTAs to figure that out. It's easier to tell that with a defensive back, for example, than it would be with an offensive lineman, because you don't need the pads to be able to determine whether a safety will fit with your team or a guy that can earn additional opportunities with your team. I still think it's worth bringing in a player at that position, if for no other reason but depth, because they are pretty thin at safety. But I think it's only a matter of time before they make a move on one of these players. Whether it's Simmons or not remains to be seen. Let's move on to another player that was mentioned in this list of best fits. What's the best landing spot for former Titans quarterback, no longer Titans quarterback, but former Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill? Where do you think Ryan Tannehill makes the most sense in the NFL right now? He's still out there and available and would make a lot of sense for a ton of teams. But what do you believe the best fit to be for Tannehill is? We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that Zen Sports is the presenting sponsor of the Primetime program. They are also the presenting sports betting app for all the sports betting fun that you can have on all your favorite major sports. I'm watching college football highlights. The college football season, not that far away, but right now you have the NBA in the conference finals. You have the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs going on. You've even got the WNBA to wager on in the Zen Sports app with the promo code ATOZTN. So download it, plug in that promo code, get up to $100 on your no danger first wager. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet. Where is the best landing spot for Ryan Tannehill in 2024? Boss Man says on the couch, Kelvin agrees. You know how many quarterbacks started games last year? Ryan Tannehill's going to be able to get a job. If Joe Flacco can get a job and go on to lead a team to the postseason, Ryan Tannehill is totally capable. Najee says, I can see him going back to the Dolphins. Who's the Dolphins' backup quarterback? Is it still Mike White? Is he on a multi-year deal? I don't think that Mike White is still there behind Tua. Oh, no, Mike White is still there behind Tua. Okay. Bert providing me some context as well. Jonathan Caverly says the Raiders, it sounds like they are going to ride with Gardner Minshew. They gave him, it's not starting money, but Minshew has been a starting quarterback in multiple spots. It sounds like Vegas is going to give him a go. Chicago, says Steve Jones, behind Caleb Williams. That would be funny if both Ryan Tannehill and Kevin Byard were on the Bears roster before they played the Titans in week one. I see Chargers. Demetrius says, who's the Colts backup quarterback? That's Flacco. As a matter of fact, the Colts arguably signed the best backup quarterback on the free agent market, even if he is a 48, or not 48, but damn near 40-year-old Joe Flacco. I believe Flacco is 38 at this point. Jeff Sawyer says the Broncos. I don't think Denver can afford him, and they also traded for Zach Wilson and have Jarrett Stidham on the roster in addition to drafting Bo Nix with the 12th selection in this year's draft. So no chance he's on the Broncos. Fort Enrico says Tanny is nowhere near Flacco. That's a laughable statement. Tannehill last year, of course, was nowhere near Flacco because Tannehill was playing behind the league's worst pass protecting offensive line. Ryan Tannehill sustaining high ankle sprains behind a bad offensive line, getting gun shy behind a bad offensive line, while Flacco is just bombing it down the field with all the protection in the world. So it is completely ridiculous that people would say Tannehill is nowhere near Flacco. The only thing that Tannehill was not near Flacco on, which is, I'm saying this poorly, but basically the only thing that separates Flacco and Ryan Tannehill right now at this point in their careers is the teams around them. MB says Houston, which I love. Titans fans should hate that because if Ryan Tannehill, God forbid something happened to C.J. Stroud, but if Ryan Tannehill comes in behind C.J. Stroud and is able to help the Texans either win the division or advance through the postseason, that would be a really unfortunate setup for Titans fans. But there is one place that they are saying that they are projecting Tannehill to make the most possible sense, and that is Tampa Bay. To back up Baker Mayfield is the place that ESPN is saying makes the most sense for Ryan Tannehill, and I don't necessarily disagree. That's a very winnable division that Tannehill would be dropped into the middle of, where the Falcons look like they are set up to be the best team in the NFC South, but it's pretty tenuous at this point. You've got Baker coming off a career best year, which is pretty crazy to think about. But Baker Mayfield playing the best football of his career, and there's no indication that he wouldn't be able to keep that rolling, other than the offensive coordinator who was very successful with Baker last year in Dave Canales. He's now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, so we'll see what Tampa Bay is able to put back together after losing their OC. But this is what Matt Bowen of ESPN writes about Tannehill. My sense is Tannehill will wait for an opportunity to open up during camp, but if we are looking at potential team and scheme fits, the Bucs work. Kyle Trask and John Wolford are the options on the depth chart behind Baker Mayfield as of now, and a healthy Tannehill would benefit from the expected heavy doses of play action in the pass game under new coordinator, former Kentucky coordinator with Will Levis, Liam Cohen. How about that for a full circle moment? I add parenthetically, if Levis is replaced by, if Tannehill is replaced by Levis, and Tannehill then goes to work with the coordinator who Will Levis had the most success with as a college player in Liam Cohen before he went to the Rams and then came back to college football last year. And now back into the NFL, Liam Cohen. That would be pretty interesting to see. 10 games with the Titans last season. Tannehill completed 64.8% of his passes, 1,616 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 7 picks. He also had rushing scores as well, but did struggle behind the Titans' terrible, terrible roster around him. Not that Tannehill was a perfect player by any stretch of the imagination, but Tannehill on a bad roster, you saw the results of how that played out. What about Baltimore, says B. French? Bert, who is the Ravens' backup quarterback? It's not the guy that went to the Pro Bowl after Lamar went down. I'm struggling to think of who I need to refresh. What?
It's Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson is the primary backup to Lamar?
Correct.
How do you feel about that?
I think they're screwed if Lamar gets hurt anyway.
Yeah, but don't you want a better option than Josh Johnson? I don't think they're that screwed.
No, they drafted a kid. I think the guy's cheap, and I think they don't have much money. And Tyler Huntley left, went to Cleveland. I don't think they wanted to re-sign him anyway. They have another option on their roster, but the kid's really a hybrid kind of weapon. You know what I mean? He's not really like a solid backup. Josh Johnson played well for the Ravens. He's smart, does what he's supposed to, and with the defense that if it plays like that again, maybe that's all he would have to do.
Tyler Huntley is where now?
Cleveland.
Okay. That's who they replaced Flacco with. That's utterly embarrassing.
No, they replaced him with Jameis Winston. They have 3 Pro Bowl quarterbacks on their roster right now with Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, and I always call him Jameson. It's just Jameis.
It's just Jameis. Are you ready for your segment?
Yeah, sure. Can we get it over with?
We sure can. In case you missed it with Bert, is what we'll do here in just a second. A quick reminder that the primetime program, get off the screen. I need to tell people about the sponsors. Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to GaryAshton.com. Get your dream address without the stress. Don't sell without the intel that you can get with the official real estate agent of the primetime program and the Nashville Predators at GaryAshton.com. All right, Bert, what do you got?
All right. You want to know the problem with sports nowadays?
Tell me.
Broadly, football's fun, right? Football's fun. Basketball's fun. We can talk about all those things. What is the most exciting thing that happened in golf before Scotty Scheffler got arrested?
The Saudis soaking it in blood money.
Sure. What is the most exciting thing that's happened in NASCAR before the fight that happened this weekend?
I couldn't tell you.
We need more. We need more.
The previous fight. The previous fight is the.
We need more fisticuffs. I need more of it. What the hell were these kids? I wanted to call him Kyle Rittenhouse earlier. That's not what his name is. What?
Nope. Definitely not Kyle Rittenhouse.
Doesn't that sound like a NASCAR driver? What are their names?
I'm gonna say yes. It does sound like a NASCAR driver, but there's probably some connections between that and there's probably some connections that you don't want me to make.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch. I know Kyle Busch. He's an older dude. He's got a big old bald spot in the back of his head. He's looking to always punch up on these young kids. I don't know. I didn't know who this. Kind of like me. Kind of like me. I hate the young kids. I hate them all.
No, I was talking
Every
about
one
the
of
bald
them.
spot.
Hold on.
Play the video. Which defensive player stands to benefit most from the coaching change? Poipol Neupol.
What is up with your facial hair there? In that one, you look like the Cracker Barrel like magnet face. Like
which defensive player?
Clean
My
and
facial hair looks great.
Those sharp lines. No, it looks like someone threw it on your face.
Which defensive?
Anyway, if we're talking about,
I'll lend you some of my magnet hair for the top of your bald ass head if you want.
That's okay with me. I'll stick with the rivers and streams that I'm used to. Anyway, despite that fight, that's probably the most interesting thing that happened all night on this show was us arguing right there. The fight that happened this weekend at the race was a lot better.
I feel like we need to be on camera for this.
They are not happy about this. Like somebody's dad jumped in here. Now you're excited. Look at this. Big Hoss, get off our truck.
Whoa, that's a
What are you
big one.
doing over here? Get off our truck. Come on.
Get out of here.
As he chews on a Zen, you're just supposed to have those in your mouth, buddy.
No free ads.
Anyway.
I'm so confused what prompted the initial swing.
Right. So that's why I brought you the second camera angle.
Whoa.
You know a fight is good when you got to look up the second angle. So I said the same thing. I'm like, what is he so butthurt about? Why did he swing on this dude? Because he's like pleading his case. Like, I didn't hit you. Like, you hit the wall and then hit me. Like, I gave you plenty of room. So, like, he's defending himself. And all of a sudden, he goes on the offensive.
Yes.
And I love that he came all the way back here. He jerked this thing back. He's pow.
Yeah, he came all the way back with it.
So I'm bringing you another angle of this. This is a side angle. So you can see, and also, listen, if you heard, my favorite part of the whole thing was, somebody get my dad. Somebody get my dad. Your dad, sir? Your dad, sir? They're getting in fights over here with people's daddy.
Hey, get my dad. Somebody hit me, Dad. Hey. Get off of here! Get out of here! Get off this truck! Oh! Get out of here! Stupid! Why am I stupid? Why are you putting 3 wide? I didn't touch you! Who cares? You know we're gonna hit off of 2. There's no room. Plenty of room. There's no room. Plenty of room, bud. I reckon.
Plenty of room, bud. Like, now I got to watch next week. Because if I know, dude, as soon as we get in there, I'm like, I'm going as soon as I can into the wall with you, dude.
What on earth?
Right.
I love this. The guy, I don't know if it's the suit that makes this man throwing people off the truck look like some kind of superhero.
Oh, no, they're jacked.
He's out here incredible hulking people off the truck.
All of those guys are former D3 or D2 gym rats who could not make it. And all they've got to do is carry these tires now. And he lives for that moment. I'm glad you saw that because at first he tackled old dude, got up. This is a guy we need on the Titans. You need a middle linebacker? Go find that guy because He got up, made the tackle on the Kyle dude, got up, and then went and tackled the other dude off the trailer. That's what I need in my middle linebacker. Awareness, decision-making.
Unbelievable. I see people making P. Diddy jokes in the comments about him now, and I don't want to do any of those. Maybe that'll about the guy on the truck throwing people. No, you can't laugh at that. No, you can't. No, don't leave me on screen by myself to laugh at it. Oh my God. And this show. I appreciate you guys spending time with us. We're going to have Tyler Boyd on the radio show tomorrow. It's going to be, I'm going to be down at practice. Lucas is back. Thank God. We've been just astray in the desert. Without him, we'll get back on track. It'll be a great time. Hopefully it goes smoother than this radio show did tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
Go home! Go home! Go home! You're embarrassing Nashville! Go home!